Daniel Dubois shocks the world. Can you believe it? Knocks out Anthony Joshua in a fight that wasn't really even close. How did he do it? It was not just having a big punch and it was not just aggression. There was a lot of really clever technical details in this one. I'm going to show them to you. It's time for Technical Difficulties. Welcome everyone. It's time for Technical Difficulties. My name is Luke Thomas and this is where we go over the weekend's best and most important fights. And what can we say? Oh my goodness, what a performance by Daniel Dubois. And yes, let's be honest, there were some real clear mistakes on the part of Anthony Joshua. We'll talk about that, but it was not just that. It wasn't just luck. It wasn't just heavyweights having big power. There was more to it than that. This is the performance of Daniel Dubois' life, and it really deserves to be noted just how strategically on point everything was for him. They had AJ put into a blender, and you saw the result. Now, I don't present these findings to you to be the best or the only or the most complete. These are just mine. I always encourage you to hear what other analysts have to say. With that in mind, these is what I think are some of the bigger points, but I'm sure I missed something. So just keep in mind, this is just my set of observations. Okay, so what did he do? First, taking away AJ's jab. That was a big part of it. The only thing that really worked all that well for AJ, except for that one right hand in the fifth, was the jab, and that was not all that effective, but it was the thing he was going to. He had a 4-inch reach advantage, so you have to ask yourself, what was Dubois trying to solve for? Pressure was part of it, getting AJ on his heels, but also not ever letting him get his jab going, establishing the range, establishing a rhythm, and he did that with a number of things. I didn't put feints on there, but it's a big part of it. Pressure was a big part of it. Pressure, by the way, came from the feints in a lot of cases. He wanted to step around. You'll notice that he wanted to get to the outside of the jab and then step around at an angle to have a different shot on it, because you would typically see AJ standing real tall. If he could get to this one particular position, and I'll show it to you, it enabled him to find it very, very easily over the course of time. And then he wanted to jab with AJ. He likes to retaliate a lot of times, Daniel Dubois. He'll get jabbed and then want to jab in response. But he was proactive with his jab, that's true, but getting AJ to jab, or at least going when he jabbed, he did both of them, was important because he was at a 4-inch reach disadvantage. When AJ steps to jab, that means he's getting closer to Dubois, and that enabled him, if he got to the right angle he wanted to be able to find the location. That was part of it, right? So it's jabbing with him, certainly getting at that proper angle, and then pressuring him the whole way. So you could just see this was a way to shorten the distance, find the target, and really disrupt any kind of offensive rhythm that Joshua ever wanted to get into. Second, change attack rhythm. There should be a comma after that, but this is what I mean. There are certain ways in which he would go on a rhythm and then break it, right? This is standard boxing. Establish a rhythm and then change it. I'm going to show you specific examples of that, but you'll see the jab timing was a big part of it. You would see him change the timing of the jab so often that so how many times did you see Joshua get hit clean with the jab, sometimes in very demonstrative ways? It's because he was changing the timing. And then of course the anchor point. What do I mean by that? Sometimes he would jab off the front foot, sometimes he would jab off the back foot, sometimes he would step with the forward foot first. Sometimes he would cheat with the back step to get a little bit closer. All of it was about minimizing that reach advantage. And again, it's not letting AJ get into a offensive rhythm. This was part of it. 3, draw out the lead hand. How are those overhand rights so effective? It's because they knew on tape he would do it, but they were very successful in drawing out the lead hand of AJ. Not so much from a jab, although sometimes that was the case, but more in a defensive sense. You'll see AJ, he'll kind of parry with the backhand and then reach with the lead hand, sometimes to put what's called a hanger up there, sometimes to just block, sometimes to interfere, to create some traffic in the punching lanes. But they knew he would do it, and then they would kind of go just a beat afterwards, or they would lower the level to get his hand to come down and then go over the top. Very, very successful. And then honestly, here's one thing that just shows up with the tape, his speed. Dubois was much quicker. Much quicker. There's a couple of instances you'll see where they go at the exact same time, and it's Dubois getting to the target quicker just by virtue of speed. Also, AJ's mistakes. You're going to see a couple of mistakes here. Now, I know he gets rocked at the end of the first, so how many of these were just a function of him not really being all there? Probably several of them, if not nearly all of them in that sense. But nevertheless, there were some really bad errors, including one at the end of the third. There are 2 major punches, well 3 if you count the finishing one, but there's 2 major punches in this fight. The big one that lands at the end of the first and the big one that lands at the end of the third. AJ just really kept going back to big problems, and Dubois made him pay for it. So this is by no means exhaustive, but it should give you a clear sense of what the big picture was. Let's take a look at some more details here. and I'll make my claims. First couple of things you're going to notice, nothing too important, but I just want you to pay attention to something. You're going to want to see Dubois is going to want to constantly step over to his left so he can get an angle on the punch that's less linear and more this way. He doesn't quite get it very effectively here. You can see him jab. What does it do? It pushes AJ back. So just being proactive with the jab is very important, right? But he doesn't want AJ to circle out this way. Sometimes he does. He'll pressure this way, but he's more trying to feed him over to find the right angle, the correct angle, I should say, for his jab. You can see him. It's not just going this way. He's kind of stepping around to get that. That's what he's looking for. And you'll see, look at the rear hand parry there from AJ. That would get him in trouble later, right? It's something where you would see Dubois go to the jab and then go to the hook to come around it. But it's this kind of position he's trying to get into. I'm only showing you this to kind of see what is a bit of a foreshadowing of what's to come, just like that. It's less this angle and more this angle, right? Almost square, not so much to the side. Just pay attention for future reference. All right, here we go, a little later. So here's the jab from AJ, and you can see hands come up. Now watch the stepping and the timing of Dubois. He's gonna pendulum step and then bounce, and it's all, a lot of what he's doing is based off of either setting and then disrupting rhythms or just changing the rhythms as he goes, depending on what he wants to do. So here he is. He lands on the back foot here, kind of both feet, and then goes right simultaneously. And you can see they both decide to jab, but look, Dubois just a little bit quicker with his timing. He's coming up and down, AJ stepping laterally. This is what he wants. He wants to stay kind of in position, stay grounded. Then he decides to go whoop, just like that. And he's able to just get to the target quicker. And he also kind of gets off. You can see he's also going to step this direction. And that enables the jab to go past him while he is able to find it, all based off of that rhythm, all based off drawing out some of these reactions from AJ. Because if AJ, watch AJ, right? Dubois staying in place. He'll step a little bit into him, right? He'll step off at that angle there like that. It's hard to tell, but you can see he's kind of moving this direction. But also, look at the big step that AJ takes, like a big step like that. And that enables Dubois, who's now on the front foot. You see how he's front foot heavy, right? He kind of comes up and then boom, steps onto it, but he gets to the target first. It's both a function of speed, a function of slight angling, right? And some other things we mentioned here as well. And then kind of stays in his face for a double attack, but AJ gets away from it because there's not enough pressure there yet. All right, a little bit later. You can see he feints Dubois backwards. Dubois plants that right foot. We always want to pay attention to his footwork here. His footwork was great. He backs up a little bit, then he really anchors back down there on the back foot, kind of steps with the back foot first, watch, which is sometimes can be a no-no, but if you use it the right way, it can obviously be very effective. So he brings the back foot first, uses that, gets you see AJ tries to greet him with the jab, but it's the angle of where his arm is. His arm kind of hangs here. It's not chambered. It's kind of hanging out here, so he's able to get on the inside there, and they both land, but this is disrupting what AJ wants to do. A little bit later, right? Big step, jab, doesn't get what he wants, so you see AJ back up, right? Let's see what happens. There he moves him backwards. Now he I don't know if it's a fake shot, but it was pretty far away, but it has this kind of pressurizing effect. So let's see what he does now. Boom, steps right into it, just changes the rhythm. Rather than taking one step, right? Rather than taking one step and jabbing, he doubles it up, brings his feet with him like that and changes it up. And you can see, I want you to pay attention to AJ's reaction. Rear hand kind of catch parry, lead hand kind of traffic coming up like that. You see that? That is the reaction they were looking for. And he also, by the way, on this jab, kind of, yeah, it comes through and it gets a little bit disrupted, but that hand comes up. So what does Dubois do? Takes another step, jab gets a little bit disrupted, brings the back foot with him, and then waits a beat to come over the top with the right hand, just like this. So it's changing this, 1, 2, changes the rhythm a little bit, pushes AJ backwards, right? Pushes him backwards, brings the back foot to keep his weight under him, boom, and then cracks him over the top because his defense is so porous there. And they knew it would beat it. That left hook, by the way, will land a little bit later. All right, he steps hard, jab, too far away on a single jab, gets Joshua to push backwards, gets a bit of a probing jab in there. They love it when he does that because they want to come over the top. All right, so let's see, backs up, plants weight. Let's see, steps forward, Gets the jab, misses just a little bit, but you can see him changing the timing, right? Watch. Step forward. There would usually be your jab. Switch it up. Boom. Just misses. AJ gets his head off the center line. And this was the correction he was trying to make, but look how good Dubois is about raising that shoulder to kind of absorb the impact, right? A small little adjustment, but it ends up kind of thwarting and taking away the damage of what AJ was looking for, and then resets position a little bit later. This one's interesting to me. He gets his head off of the jab line, which is nice, or at least it barely intersects. And this obviously disrupted the placement of his jab. But what you're going to see is sometimes he jabs a little bit low, and then other times he'll lower his level and then jab high, right? Changing the way the attack looks as it enters the space for punching traffic. And then he kind of doubles up here a little bit and hooks. And you can see AJ does a good job of getting inside control, which is nice by him, but obviously not enough. All right, here comes Dubois, right? There's that jab. Rear hand parry from Dubois, okay? But then look what he wants to do. So he's going to step around, boom, and go right through the gloves. AJ jabs. He's on the outside because the punch is redirected by the rear hand. And now look at this punching lane right here. Look at this punching lane for Dubois right up the middle because he was able to step around. Look one more time. It's not this way, it's step over and up. Look at the difference in the angle there as a consequence. Step over, get the jab, wait a second, feet are gonna follow, watch the feet, boom, just like that. Watch, one more time. Back foot, front foot, now he's front foot heavy. AJ decides to go, but by that point he's actually still on the back foot a little bit. Watch, he doesn't step too heavy, he steps a little bit, but he's still got his balance under him, kind of holds a beat, right? Kind of holds a beat. So he steps, holds a beat, and then goes again. Da, and that's how he gets through. So it's a step, hold, go. Changing the rhythm off the angle change, slight angle change, but enough to get the job done off that jab. And look, it pushes AJ backwards again. Here comes Dubois. Gets his head, slips to the inside this time, but it's not much to it. It's more of a probing jab. He holds his ground. Let's see what happens here. Kind of fakes, bounces, he bounces back. Let's see what he does from here. Steps forward, AJ tries to time it with that jab, and he lands, and Dubois tries to respond, steps around, and you can see just what he's looking for. Wasn't the most successful version of it, but you can just kind of eye what he's looking at there. A little bit later, kind of a sort of a feint from AJ. Let's see what Dubois does. Pulls back a little bit, but doesn't bounce back, stays in position, lowering a level from AJ. You get a response from Dubois. They both kind of circle around, but Dubois, watch what he does here, right? Watch his feet. He's going to step back, forward, and then changes the timing a little bit. Boom. Watch. Cheats with the back step. Boom. And gets off at that angle that he wants. Again, he gets intercepted a little bit, but just pay attention one more time. Let me see if I set this up a little bit better. All right, so he gets feinted backwards. Steps back, there it is, he steps back. He's going to step forward, kind of feint a little bit, backwards again, then a big step. AJ greets him, but because he kind of steps off at an angle, just a little bit of one, right? He doesn't come straight here, watch. Comes a little, kind of looks that way, but it's a little bit more of an angle. If you just kind of watch where the jab's going. It's at least to the side, right? It's at least to the side, and he jabs it back. And that's what he was looking for. That wasn't the best like angle turn, but you can kind of, again, you can see what he's looking for here. All right, let's pay attention. So this is what I mean about getting this lead hand exposed. Dubois lowers his level, right? So what does AJ do? He puts this up for like punching traffic because he's anticipating it a little bit too early. Dubois lowers it, so by the time it actually greets him, AJ thinks he's just gonna step out of the way, but it's a huge punch in the end, right? Because look, he gets the lead hand to come out, and doesn't, AJ mistimes it and just kind of has his head high up in the air, steps away, so he just comes over the top. We'll take a second look at it here, right? This is what I mean. Steps to him, like look at AJ, kind of stepping to him a little bit. Dubois comes back foot first to cheat that distance. So AJ, look, they're pretty far apart here, like no one's gonna land anything. AJ's gonna, not almost L-step, but he doesn't quite L-step, he just kind of steps off to the side. If he had L-stepped, he'd have gone a little bit further back, right? I guess he didn't want to be up against the ropes, but nevertheless, he would have been further away. He just kind of sidesteps, brings the hand up, and then brings it back down thinking he's far enough away. But because of the footwork of Dubois, watch the footwork, brings the back step first. So now he's so much closer than AJ ever anticipated. Boom! And just crushes him. He may have never been the same after this, but it's clever footwork. Sometimes he'll go front foot first. Sometimes he'll cheat with that back step just to get a little bit closer, feint low, and then come over the top. And he had Joshua totally fooled. Joshua thought the whole thing was going to get disrupted, and then he lets his guard down, and he's too close. Boom, he gets cracked. Second round. Let's watch. They both jab, but now watch Dubois. There's a probing jab, and so Joshua does this where he'll kind of just throw jabs out just to kind of gauge reactions and get one. And he does, but he doesn't really, he doesn't throw it from a far enough away distance, or he doesn't accompany it with any other kind of defensive mechanism. So Dubois reads it and just goes with him, but doesn't quite get it, and he backs up again. All right, so let's see what happens here. And then he just decides to come around with the hook, right? So he's going, watch, he's going linear. So you see Joshua think, okay, get my hands in front of my face, hands in front of my face, hands in front of my face. And then he steps again, comes high hands, like that's where he's going to go, but instead whips it around the corner, and it gets blocked a little bit, but then you can see him follow up and now push Joshua into the ropes. And of course, this attack will ultimately become much more successful over time. A lot of this is about changing rhythm, changing the angle of attack, and then changing the timing of it so that he can't quite get a beat on what exactly is coming. Is it coming high? Is it coming low? Is it coming from the front foot? Is it coming from the back foot? Is there a back step coming first or not? He can't quite tell what's coming. Obviously, he was rocked quite badly after this point, but it's the differentiation in what Dubois is doing that makes a huge difference in the end. So he feints low, right? He takes up, he's bouncing, kind of pendulum stepping, forward steps, lowers his level. This is going to feint Joshua backwards. This is exactly what Dubois wants. Great, now I can control his movement a little bit. Let's see what he does with it. Goes high, but watch his feet. Pay attention to his feet. He's going to bring his feet with him. This is great. Jabs, brings his feet with him, but now he's cheated the distance, and Joshua is nearly square with him. Not quite, but of course, boom with the right hand. And of course, let's see if that lead hand came out before. Yep, sure did. Both hands come out. He gets that reaction with that jab. Both hands come out, brings his feet with him. Now he has cheated the distance. Bang, and comes right over the top with it because he's wide open. So he pressured him backwards, faked like he was going to come high, pulls out the defense of Joshua, and then comes over the top with the right hand as he closed it, taking that back step first to cheat the distance. Dude, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Is Dubois fast? Yes. Did that play a role? Absolutely. Is he a heavy hitter? No question about it. All those things made a difference. Did AJ have some bad defense in this fight? He sure did. Was Dubois clever, technical, and bringing his feet with him and wherever he needed to go? Like, the footwork of Dubois to me is the big story of this fight. Yeah, the punching power is great. The speed's great. The footwork and the timing changes really made a huge difference. And then, of course, he follows up here as well. All right, and then look at that left hook. Bonk. That couldn't have felt great. All right, let's see here. Pay attention to the weight distribution of Dubois. So he's front foot, back foot, front foot, change timing. You notice that? He goes back foot, front foot, back foot, front foot again. All right, one more time. Back foot, I was right. Back foot, front foot, there's a front foot. So front foot, back foot, front foot, back foot. So back foot, front, go again. And that's why it catches him so clean, because he's changing the timing. It's back, front, right? Dun, dun. And so it catches him clean. Boom, look at that. And then he follows up again with these huge shots. All right, here's a little bit later. Puts the jab in his face, pushes him backwards, brings his feet with him. There's what Joshua's trying to do. He's trying to catch that hand like this. And this time he reads it. Dubois can't get anything going, but that's what ends up missing. However, look, he gets him up against the ropes. AJ leans to get off the side. He thinks he's far enough away. Watch Dubois' feet. Watch Dubois' feet here. brings his back foot first to catch him, and look at AJ. He lowers his level, but then he just comes up, boom, and so Dubois catches him for it. He didn't stay low and kind of pivot and turn the angle. He just kind of stayed on the rope line, lowered it, and then when he came up, popped him for it. That's good work. A little bit later. Jab, a little too far away, doubles it now, boom. So before, we saw him changing the timing off of a single jab. Now he's doubling it, right? Isn't that nice? Let's see about this. He goes front foot, misses, stays on it. So then it's a technical sort of forward progression, bringing his, look at how often Dubois brings his feet with him and how balanced he is. That's why all of his shots are powerful. Is he a big, strong guy? Yeah, of course. All these guys are big, strong guys. Footwork, balance, timing, rhythm disruption. This is what really good fighters do. Okay, so he jabs. You see he gets kind of greeted with a hook for it. That's a nice shot. So he backs up, but let's see what happens. Look at how he lowered his level here. All right, so let's see. Dubois takes a back step, keeps his feet under him, so let's pay attention to that one. Here he comes. Now watch, look closely. Joshua steps on his feet. Now obviously that could be an intentional tactic. It can also happen by accident, but what you end up noticing is, look at how wide the step is that he ends up taking. Dubois has his foot step, but he already also planted his weight. And now the arm is passed. So it's kind of blinding Joshua. He can't see really what's coming. Plus he took a big step. It's going to be hard. The further you take a step, the further you have to take a step backwards, right? So that's why your steps need to be kind of balanced and under you. This is not a gigantic step, but it's a big one. And so he ends up staying here. And by this time, even though he's standing on Dubois' foot, you're like, oh, that reduces Dubois' movement. Dubois didn't need to move all that much. He needed Joshua to come to him because he has the longer reach. So Joshua does that, lowers his level. He misses off the jab, but it ends up blinding him because he can't see on the other side of his face. And so what does Dubois do? Bonk, and cracks him with it. How nice is that? Steps on Dubois' foot. Dubois, by the way, is to the target quicker, right? He can get there faster. Look how far ahead of him he is. I mean, just look at this, right? Because he kind of hangs his hands out here, so it's quicker to the target rather than being up here and then stepping wide. Joshua takes a big step, and he look how, I mean, look, Dubois is already retracting this arm and then throwing this one before AJ can even retract his. Just look at this. Bong, boom, crushed him. It's just great work. It's great work. It's reminiscent of some of the stuff Bud did to Spence in their fight. I'm not saying he's as good as Bud Crawford. Not many guys are, but it's reminiscent of that. Third round. Here comes AJ, feinting. All right, let's see. Back step here. He's going to plant his weight, right? He's going to wait for Joshua, and as soon as Joshua goes again, look, Joshua goes probe, step, probe. Now you go, because Joshua has brought himself to Dubois. Boom, catches him, and what do you notice? It's this rotational angle he's trying to catch, like this. That's what he's looking for. Bang, and then he gets his hand up to prevent any response. A little bit later, he steps in, kind of, again, he's not just stepping this way, he's stepping kind of around, like that, and that catches Joshua at the same time. Boom. That's how, look, this punch lands kind of to the side, so it's on Dubois' face, but there's not a lot of steam on it. But it's Dubois who gets to the target quicker too, by the way. Boop, as he steps around. It's nice work. Now that's a nice one from Joshua. It's a taste of Dubois' own medicine. It's a step over with the jab. See that, how he steps around? It's a nice job. Oh, but look at that right hand. So what do you see from Dubois? He gets hit with the jab, fine. Stays in his face, throws a 1, 2, steps around, and look at that lead hand exposed. So what do you think is going to come after he gets that lead hand extended by Joshua? He wanted that lead hand extended at all times. Because if you can get it extended and you can get past it either through angle change or you can slip it or whatever, then you can come over, boom, with that right hand, son, and just crack him and got him again. He kept hitting it left hook over and over again. They knew he would be there for it. They knew. A little bit later, kind of steps forward, right? There's the back step. Okay. Jab misses, right? Because he kind of parries it, right? Kind of parries it away. So then he jabs, misses, double jabs on it. And that gets him the second time. By the way, where do you notice about the angle? Where does he start with the punch? So he starts here. Where does he finish? Right here. Stepping around. This is what I mean. It looks slight, but look how pronounced the effect is. Look how pronounced the effect is. Okay, here we go. Round 3. Lowers his level. AJ backs up. He's going to L-step. Okay, so before he didn't L-step. Now he L-steps to get further away. All right, that's a little bit better, but Dubois is going to step and go lateral with him, right? And kind of plants his weight first to throw, and then catches him on the inside there because he doesn't get underneath it, right? He just kind of keeps his head up and then pulls away, and so he gets intercepted. Now, I'm not sure how, just pay attention to their feet. Their feet are both planted the same way. Planted, planted, open, open. Watch the movement. But here's the difference, right? They're here, right? Watch the difference. Okay, they're both in motion. Dubois plants a little. Okay, so AJ plants here, but he should have been prepared for this attack. He keeps going. Dubois plants second, but now he's a little bit ahead of Joshua and then cracks him. And if you notice, it's not behind the glove, it's actually in front. So he catches that inside angle like that inside angle. That's the one he was looking for because he's able to cover distance so well. It's a big step and he leaps into it. But Joshua should have been aware that this was coming. Yes, you L-stepped, so he L-steps out. That's nice. He got the L-step out. Okay. But he's just still high up in the air and just kind of leans back a little bit. Not even much, really. He just kind of stands there and gets intercepted for it because the footwork of Dubois allows him to get close enough and reach with no really, response and attack. And then he jabs him up a little bit later. All right, here we go, end of round 3. This is what I mean, oh my God, this was such a bad mistake from Anthony Joshua. This was such a bad mistake. So look, he throws the right and misses. The right misses of Dubois. Now look at the balance of Joshua. It is clearly bent over at the waist. You cannot just stand back up. If you stand back up, you're going to get cracked. You have to roll again. You can pivot out. You got to do something. You can roll underneath and then roll back again. But what you cannot do under any circumstance is just stand up. Just right your balance, right? And again, it's a big shot, so that's why he wanted to do it. It was so heavy, he just wants to stand up. But look at Dubois. Dubois sees it. Look at Dubois. Whose balance is bent over? Whose is up top? Dubois throw a heavy shot, but is still kind of upright. So Joshua, off balance, just stands up. Look at this. Boom! Dude, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. He's going to want this one back. There's some other punches where, Dubois was very clever. This is AJ just serving him up on a platter. He took a huge shot. Look, he throws a big 1-2, kind of gets out of the way of it, and instead of, pivoting over and then rolling again or clinching, right, or just clinching, right, there's a couple of options he would have had here. He just stands up. And Dubois was already postured up, so Dubois just greets him with it. Dude, I mean, that is such a bad mistake. Oh, my Lord. You cannot do that. All right, round 4. This is the beginning of the end, folks. He jabs, comes over the top, doesn't really get through, but he kind of goes southpaw for just a second, right? AJ is square to him, brings his hands up the middle, so Dubois just hooks around. Because, look, he can't even see anything. Joshua can't even see. So he just hooks it around this time. It didn't work the first time I showed it to you. It worked the second. And then look at that. Huge shots. Tries to wrap up. And now who's got inside control? Dubois. A little bit later. Jab. That lands a little bit. Hook. Right? So we went linear, hook. And it lands. Okay, what does this look like to you? This is the same sequence as the final punch that they landed at the end of the fight. This is not the end of the fight. This is round 4. It's the exact same one. And look who got there first again. Bop. It's a shorter distance to travel. It's the same. It's literally the exact same sequence. Dude, throwing a naked uppercut, I'm not saying you can't do it, but you have to be very, very careful about it. You definitely don't want to do it in an open exchange. Canelo will usually lead with that, throw the uppercut, and then he likes to go to the left hook. Joshua just threw a rear uppercut. There's so many counters to this. You know what I mean? This is what I mean. Did Dubois do great? Yeah. Did AJ also serve up some stuff for him? No question about it. All right. All right, let's see. Last round. He gets a feint, Dubois doesn't really react. Jab, gets parried with the rear hand. Small little parry, so he brings his hand right back. Joshua kind of tries to measure him. Doesn't work. They're both stepping on each other's feet, so watch this. Watch this. Jab, feet, watch their feet. They're going to stay together. But look who changes the timing. Up, down, go. Boom. This is what I mean. Did he take advantage of AJ's mistakes? Absolutely. Did he also just make him make mistakes? No question. Look, their feet moved the same. Together, go. And then he catches him. Look at that. Stays on top of him. Boom, left hook. Just on him like white on rice. Now here is the best shot Anthony Joshua threw the whole fight. And we'll take a couple looks at it. Lowers his level, changes his timing. Boom. And he cracks him good with that one. Take another look at it from this angle. Right? Anthony Joshua brings his feet under him. Fakes like he's going to go low. Right? Dubois can't quite tell what's coming. And then look at his right hand. It's super low. Probably doesn't even necessarily see it. Boom. It comes up and cracks him. Look at the timing. Fake, low, high, right? Catches him clean. This is fantastic from Joshua. But then he just ruins the whole thing. And by the way, look at him step out too, underneath a little bit, right? Steps out a little bit. This is the beginning of the end. So he throws this overhand right, and that lands too. That's a nice shot, right? That's a nice shot. Boom! Cracks him. Dubois responds and catches him a little bit, but it's not super hard. But dude, you gotta be effing kidding me. Look at this. Why did you do this? Why? Look at this. I mean, you gotta be kidding me, bro. You gotta be kidding me. He just throws this uppercut. Who gets to the target quicker, dude? Here to here versus winding up on a big shot. Are you kidding me? And then he just slumps him to the mat, and that is all she wrote. I mean, let's look at that one more time. Takeaways, AJ's jab. AJ could never really get it going. How did he do it? With pressure, the step around, jab with him. We saw all of that. Of course, how did he also do that? He changed the attack rhythm. Sometimes he would go jab quickly again. He would double the jab, right? So you could just never quite tell what the sequence or the timing of it was going to be. The jab timing, we saw that change quite a bit. The anchor point, like was he going from the front foot to the back foot? How was he doing it? Was he cheating with the back step first? Right, from where he was launching the attack, it was hard to tell because it was coming from both sides in that particular sense. He drew out the lead hand. This was huge. That made it home for the right hand. They knew it would come up, and he did have better speed. He was able to get to positions quicker and then utilizing AJ's mistakes. And look at the result, ladies and gentlemen. A monumental upset in the sport of boxing. What a night. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, consider subscribing. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Luke Thomas. Until next time, enjoy the fights.